The 24-year-old main character, Sanada Shiru, works for a fantastic corporation that pays him in spits and insults and wants him to do sporadic overtime. Up until the day he abruptly teleported to another universe. His boss urged him to go fishing, and he caught a flounder, which turned out to be some mystical fish that opened up a black hole and sucked him right in. He quickly reviewed his life. Unexpectedly, a spear flies at him and the Metal Avengers swarm. They assure him that they won't kill him, but that will rely on how successfully he can spit up his yogurt shots. Should it not resemble Niagara Falls, he is in serious trouble. Then our kid discovers that these are all girls. Therefore, he intends to use his unadulterated power and escape. But these girls are constructed differently, as he had no idea. Once he's sent into jail, this place really does seem nice. When little Shiru was caught by his mother humping his teddy bear because this girl's fish flaps smelled like straight sardines, our boy gave her the Benji treatment and immediately regretted his actions. Instead though, it's in the mouth below, her other. His tiny Joe becomes huge chunky boy Joe after the girl kicks him and does some magic to burst his brain. Just before they are going to eat him, a girl walks up to the jail and orders them all to leave. Shiru is in awe of Princess Christia's incredible looks, her face, eyes, and ears, to name just 3. The god will not be pleased to have a royal family housed here, Christia then warns them. As she is going to be executed in 3 days, the girl wished you luck getting your retribution as a ghost. Our lad is therefore stranded in a prison by himself with a girl. His pants are the only thing that might possibly go down right now. Before we head there though, Shiru had a brief conversation with Christia, who seems like a really laid-back gal. He then goes into great length about how he used to work for a horrible corporation and how one day he caught a mystical fish that somehow sucked him into a black hole. Following his hearing all of this, Christia rushes in to give him a hug and begins to feel sorry for him, since she believes he must have been imprisoned here for a long time and is unable to take his medications. In order to deal with the anguish, he begins to make up stories in his head. She assures him, therefore, that he need not fear, since she will not take off his pants and thrash him against the wall. Being a man of culture, our lad did, however, express that he wouldn't mind being carried upside down and having her drive him to Pound Town. And I could not agree with him anymore. He chooses to store it in his pants for the time being, nevertheless, and inquires more. She informs him that males are some assholes, and that they are not allowed to be soldiers when he asks if there are any male troops. They lack the ability to wield magic as well, and women are even physically superior to men. Then, realizing that the flounder mentioned creation magic, he raises his palm, as like he were going to open a doorway to another realm, revealing his stats. Though Christia is blind to this, and believes he is still living in his delusions, he becomes enthusiastic and begins reading it. She gives him a hug, then tells him it's time for him to come back to reality. After she soothed him and went to bed, Shiru resumed his effort to master creation. He extends his hand, and as though he were about to achieve enlightenment, begins to channel his inner force and unite with the planet. His creation of water takes 4 mana, and takes 30 minutes to finish. Then he smells fishy, and it's not coming from the chick with the perspiration-filled sardines dark hole. Then, he discovers that his earlier vomit is still sitting on the jail floor, and as making a rag takes too much mana, he chooses to clean it with his pants. Christia then awoke at the ideal moment, and saw his bare cheeks in front of her. She hurried up to give him a behind-the-back hug, and thanked him for grieving for her, as she was going to be executed. Now that her perspective of the whole thing is totally incorrect, our male plays his hand correctly, and comes out as the innocent, attractive guy. And this worked like a charm, as if he had given her an aphrodisiac or something, as she flicked a switch, became really wet, and ate his 12-inch Subway in one bite. Now, our kid is a complete genius because, although he could have cleaned the vomit with his shirt, he used his pants, which will make her even more tempted to see him. We're playing checkers, and he's out here playing chess. Then, since the handcuffs are weakening her abilities, Shiru tries to figure out how to take them off. She will therefore be able to get out of this jail and avoid execution if he is able to remove them. Second night, Christia tosses out the wooden bed and intends to use the broken piece to pry her hand free from the cuffs. She intends to flee as she claims our boy's 12-inch subway was the greatest thing she's ever had, and it's worth living on. Shiru stops her though, thinking it's a bad idea. Apart from that, he's preparing something. He so pries her to wait 2 hours, but after an hour and 30 minutes, Christia gets so agitated that she just wants to cut her hands off. She accepts when our boy pulls out his trump card and challenges her to a gland-to-gland fight. She launched into it, and our gentleman understands he's not made for this since she's a Gizzy Gobler, and her Gluck Gluck 3000 game was just so darn strong that at this rate, it will be over in no time, and he has 22 minutes left. That's really crazy. 22 minutes. That is, if I am correct, at least 22 shots of evil. Though it's a difficult game, our boy managed to survive, and his masterpiece is finished. He was, it turns out, making a file. To watch a file materialize out of nowhere astounds Christia. It also happens to save mana and production time when he makes something and chooses to employ materials from nearby items. Here he made use of the cell's iron bar. Regarding his ability to utilize magic, Christia is still perplexed and believes that our son may have had an implanted one-eyed snake. Her magic powers her back after he cut off her restraints. She bolts up, smashes the cell, and leaves the building fast. Shiru followed her into the secret underground entrance, where she was completely undifferent from the guards. Then he's on a boat with Christia the next thing he knows. She stated he was like her angel of protection as he prepared her water. And since our child seems to genuinely adore dominating mothers, he must be among my people. He still acts like the endearing small guys in H-anime who are overpowered after all. Then they see an island, which Christia swiftly converts the boat into a speedboat to reach. To get about the island more quickly, Shiru rides her. Then a multitude of trees blocked their path, so Christia used her magic to cut everything away. After that, she hoists him up and leaps off the face. As they get started sketching the island's map, Christia offers that they sample some of the fruits they have picked there. Since he keeps acting like the adorable, hard-working boy by cooking her bread, our boy really wants to be hugged by her. Christia, witnessing his reactions, soaked her Calvin Kleins to the bone. They find out later that the island is devoid of any caves and that one would make a nice temporary haven. "Don't worry, they'll just make one," Christia answered, then sank her hand into a section of the cliff and began chopping them down like butter. Shiru, meantime, promised to return carrying the food and drink. Christia said, "That was quick," when he got back. But Christia was through with the cave before our lad returned, having hollowed out an entire dwelling inside. Then she tells him that land ought to appear if they were to go east. As Christia promised to go hunt some animals for meat, Shiru set out to find minerals and plants. He's nearly at level 2, and he'll be able to create more stuff then. When he got back to the cave, Christia had constructed a bed that was king size. Then she apologized, saying she had been looking for animals to hunt for dinner. Unexpectedly, Shiru begs her to leave him here on this island. Time halted, and Christia is bewildered now. There is a battle happening on, he says, so they will have to fight more people when they return to the mainland. And he feels that he will just get in her way, because he is as useless as a fish on land when it comes to fighting. He promised to prepare her travel necessities. When she heard this, Christia broke down in tears and rushed to give him a hug. Since our boy now resembles this, night arrived, and so did he, multiple times. He leveled up to level 2 and heard a notification sound, but other from his mana level, nothing really changed. Then Christia advises him not to rush things, assuming that his magic levels up more slowly in bed. Our lad apparently picks things up quickly, since last night he went demon time on her. Next morning, Christia returns with a massive boar. She chops it up, and they begin to cook it with Christia's fire magic. Our kid went in one more time at night to repaint her inside, naturally in white. It's about time they say farewell. Shiru is transferring his weight onto Christia. She bid him goodbye, and he bid her good luck. Our youngster waved goodbye to her as her boat steadily drifted farther and farther away from him, saying, "Nah, I'm good," even though she had also offered him to be her concubine. When Christia abruptly returned to the island, our boy was taken aback, supposing her boat had been wrecked. "Nah, I was just so wet the entire time, and she wanted his 12-in subway so bad that she went Super Saiyan and annihilated the Empire, restored the kingdom, turned into Michael Phelps, and swam all the way back here to see him, she claimed. She added, getting up, that she had given up her realm to someone else so she could move here and they could create their own. After that, she nuded herself and they headed to Pound Town. But just like me landing a woman, it can only be a fantasy because Eminem smothered our son and brought him back to Earth. Then, because he was depending so much on Christia when she was here, he starts to panic out a little. He starts making things, and by the morning, he has a spear. Building an entrance for his cave, he ventures into the forest to begin farming some wood, much like in Minecraft. After 5 days, our youngster accomplished a great deal, most notably reaching level 3, and now he may finally produce golems. This guy looks like he would be the perfect blend of Baymax and Cannonball from Ben 10. He is so ridiculously cute. Though the golem appears to be completely ignorant at this point, they are capable of lifting objects weighing up to 500 kilograms, or over 1,100 pounds. He then calls the golem Iwao. Since Iwao is still a child and the island was recently formed, Shiru toured him around, so bro is naturally curious about everything. Though he appears like a goofball, he's actually rather attractive. He suddenly gestures to the water, and Shiru sees a ship headed for his island. He orders Iwao to return to guard the cave, and he will monitor the ship in the meanwhile. Iwao is too dang sluggish, so our guy might have to teach him to tuck his arms and legs in so he can roll around like Cannonball. It was a boatload of girls that had fallen off the ship. These 2 gals up front are a total banger, so it seems like Christmas arrived early for our boy. Janice comments that this island is really nice as the captain gives her crewmates some chores to finish. Since it makes the ideal cover from the Navy, she consents. Hearing that they are avoiding the Navy freaks out our youngster, so he dashes back to his cave and informs Iwao that they will hide in the mountain until it is safe. He notices one of the ship's girls as he exits though, and she yells out that a man is there. When the gals hear this, they all start to wet themselves, and they head straight for Shiru. Other than the 2 in the middle, every other girl is now a complete nightmare. I'll tell you straight out that Shiru's current situation is causing him PTSD. Iwao is a little too silly to be a threat, yet he still threatens them that he will totally smash them all. The captain tells the girls she won't let them attack a weak man, and sucker punches them when they try to do him evil. Then the captain returns them to their camp, telling Shiru she will see to it that none of her crew members touch him. The crew member begins griping at the captain's handling of them. Janice walks up behind them out of the blue, having heard them trash the captain. When they start to panic, Janice concurs with them that, given their successful escape from the Navy, they ought to be able to lay their hands on a man for a while. Alright, now we're having conversations. Should it be Janice we are discussing, I shall be present. Actually, I'll tie myself up and show up before her like a Christmas present. Then she tells the 2 she would like to discuss with them a secret idea. Reverting to Shiru teaching Iwao to toss stones, this does not look very well. Iwao is a tank, he believes, so he intends to build a shield for him. However, as it takes a lot of mana, he chooses to make several torches first. Bright lights and a loud noise then abruptly woke our boy. He becomes alarmed since he believes they completed filming Oppenheimer some time ago, hence Christopher Nolan was not the one responsible for this. Putting on his Iron Man outfit fast, he steps outdoors and notices a man behind the bushes. The girl, as it happens, is the captain and is gushing blood. Her crew members betrayed her, and they surprised her with an assault. Mercifully though, Cecily was able to unleash her whole arsenal and blow the entire space to get away. Iwao was carried to bed by Shiru, who then began to worry because he hadn't yet unlocked medicine manufacturing. He helped her stop the thigh bleeding after they exchanged names. Our son now owns 2 Iwao 3 days later. The second one now seems even more silly because why does bro seem to be drooling a little? Though Cecily hasn't woken up yet, our boy's evil thoughts are beginning to surface as he understands that Cecily's twin calcium packs are even more impressive than Christia's XL busts. Willpower did not fail him though, as he stopped himself from staring at her and proceeded to shave. Now, since bro has less hair than a baby's butt, I have no idea what he is shaving. Then, Cecily woke up, immediately flushing like mad, apologizing to him for spying, and falling out of bed. The reason Shiru became so perplexed was most likely that, in this reality, witnessing a male shave is equivalent to witnessing a girl shave their underarm hair. Cecily blushed more, but our boy didn't seem to mind, telling her to watch if she so wished. Shiru starts feeding her after bringing her a cup of water, because it kind of hurts her to raise her arm. He taunts her by questioning if she is hitting on him after she thanks him and remarks that he has a beautiful name. Cecily flushed so much she immediately went back into hibernation. Cecily tells Shiru she's going to take off the bandage because the discomfort has gone, and she wants to cook some porridge. As it happens, her wounds have already healed. Being the friendliest person in her group, he agreed that she should thank him in some way. She responded, "No, bro, I didn't rob you because I was nice. It's because you look hella broke and she doesn't hurt poor people." She therefore offered to give him anything he wanted. Our lad so used the occasion to tease her a little and ask whether she would accept him as her spouse. Now, if I were in our boy's shoes, I would suggest that he is overdoing this charming boy role-playing. He said it's just a joke, bro, and Cecily instantly recoils and asks if he's serious. He thus invites her to steer a boat because he intends to build one. She accepts, offers to even help him develop it, and flexes. But as she does so, she makes the muscles between men's legs hard rather than her own. Walking outside, Shiru shivers, but Cecily assures him not to worry because her team has most likely already left. If so, why would they let her to heal? It's really bad that we never get to witness Janice in action. After doing all the laborious work and carving his boat, Shiru went fishing. As supper is being prepared, our boy calls her honey once more and taunts her. When they are done, Shiru tells her she can have him. The girl's nose bleeds from too much Riz from the MC for the first time in a long time. Hence, this is a historical occasion right here. When he and Cecily entered the water the following day, she inquired as to whether he had given the island any name. Having given it some thought, he declared that he would name it Monte Chris Island. He said it was someone he used to know when Cecily questioned who it was. Really, this is almost as depressing as the Titanic, but on an island. Then they came to a gap in the cliff, and Cecily claims she saw a figure staring back into the cave. They so hurried inside and plunged headlong into the black abyss. Shiru has gone balls deep before, though. Our child summons up his inner beta male Riz to hold onto her, saying he's terrified as they climb the flight of stairs to the top of the cliff. As they had never been there, they choose to explore and come upon a building. It's an empty dungeon, so Cecily suddenly becomes quite enthusiastic and starts laughing like the Joker. She won't be conducting the dungeon raid just now though, as she is by herself. She intends to construct a boat back to her homeland in order to get allies and exact revenge on her crewmates. Shiru promises to make the sailcloth, she promises to return with a stacked squad and to make sure no one brings anyone who would act strangely toward him. But our lad reasoned that he wouldn't mind if they were aggressive toward him if they were a particular kind of girl. Shiru is very real for this, to be really honest. Over my manga recap career, he may be the best MC I've ever seen. Cecily then wants to stay in his grotto the next time she visits. When she returns, our lad will arrange for her Fortnite squad to stay at an inn, he added, beaming. Hearing this thrilled her, and it has made her even more eager to get back to the island. After 4 days, Cecily is prepared to sail back to her origins. That Shiru is able to utilize magic still surprises her. Shiru will shortly be level 6 and will be able to use his ultimate power. Before she departs, they share one last dinner together. As Cecily climbed on her boat, she bid him farewell as well as his golems. She turns quite crimson as Shiru chooses to give her a quick kiss on the cheek to say goodbye, and she vows to return. Turning level 6, Shiru made the decision to create another Iwao in order to improve his golem production abilities and create new types of golems. Iwao number 3 now, 2 days later. Alright, at least this one did not deteriorate as the second one did. They don't seem to be losing brain cells one by one as he produces more Iwao, as I had initially assumed. This person is beaming broadly, but wait till he learns that he has to pay taxes. He won't be beaming any longer. Shiru can now create new types of golems because he has improved in his production abilities. After 2 days of laboring on their farm, Shiru was able to call forth his new golem. When Shiru tosses out his Pokemon, it's a little but nimble person, Then he names it Goku and assigns him to labor within the cave. By they, I mean the golems. They worked incredibly hard, and their inn is now complete. He speculates that Cecily and Christia might even return at the same time. It's been too damn long since Christia left, so the real question is, where is she? Really, what if she vanished and her boat sank? Then Iwao 1 stops moving, and a light flickers on it. After reading the help page, Shiru touched the flickering light, and it came back to life, but it cost him 50 mana. Then Shiru resumed fishing, and observed 3 pterodactyls swooping toward him. Shockingly, he discovers that this world also features the How to Train Your Dragon franchise, after hurriedly hiding in a bush, like he's playing Fortnite in 2018. They touch down, and our lad spots his targets right away. A hot, dominating mother in her 30s, a nice, kind girl in her late teens, and a girl in her 20s who seemed like she would taunt him in sinister ways. Walking out of the bush to greet them, he felt they didn't seem like awful people, and the dragon darn near ate him like a hot dog. He's not a threat, the 3 females understand after witnessing how huge of a puss he is. Introducing herself as Alyssa Milano, the captain informs him that they are from the Empire of Ruroga, which is an enemy of Christia's empire. Then Shiru introduces himself and says he lives alone on this island. Shiru tells them he was thrown here as a child since he can't tell them he escaped prison to stay here. They are all shocked and believe he's Mr. Beast and bought this island for himself. Since no one saved him, since everyone thinks that having a guy on board brings bad luck, Alyssa begins to feel sorry for him. "It's cool here," he added. Then out of the blue, she inquires as to whether a tax collector has ever visited. Our youngster is terrified to think that the IRS is still chasing him, tracking him down with their satellite, even after he teleports into another universe. He's alright though, since Leanne, a 20-year-old female, informs him they would lose money traveling here. Having flown reconnaissance since early dawn and not eaten anything, the girls ask for a place to rest. Shiru so extends an invitation to them. 3 enormous bowling balls, each clutching a bowling pin, welcome them to his inn. The girls are perplexed as to why the golems are responding to a man, and speculate that perhaps the golems like males when Shiru instructs them to make room for their guests. Once inside, Leanne was prepared to start her evil deeds. Shiru got them settled, gave them tea, and began preparing a 5-star Michelin dinner. Already fixated by his sultry cheeks, Leanne advises Louise that this is a perfect opportunity for her to misplace her V card. When he had done preparing his meal, they all immediately creamed their pants, since this was the greatest bread they had ever tasted. Then Shiru remembers that Christia-sama had the same sentiment, that this bread ranks beside the Krabby Patty. Leanne rushed right up and asked him to marry her after he had his soft bread, but our boy's resolve is strengthened by God himself, since he refuses to give in. He then adds Louise's son is cute and explains that he appreciates someone real. Then Alyssa queries the structure on this island that looks like a ruin. As Shiru admitted he had no idea what it was, the girls said they would investigate the area and return at night. Then, since these girls will be occupying the prison before she does, he apologizes to Cecily. Then Shiru chooses to amuse his first visitor. He orders his golems to get supplies and erect a bathtub. When the girls return after learning of the dungeon, Shiru extends an invitation to them to the bathtub. Though we all know Shiru is just trying to view their round, juicy milk dispensers, he is really such a wonderful man, making his clients a nice bath. After they all entered, Leanne laid down and requested that Shiru wash her back. She added that it would be even better if he washed her entire body, but our boy disregarded her and proceeded to make supper. If that doesn't break our boy's willpower, then it's really game over for her. Our boy may have as much willpower as my Johnson right now. Dinner went well, and Shiru is now lying in bed, hoping to be your typical harem manga protagonist where all the girls suddenly bust down his door at 2 in the morning and start sucking him dry. He's feeling pretty strong right now, so he'd be down to take all 3 at once, but I can assure you that Leanne alone can probably have his balls drained to the point it shrivels up like a raisin. Ultimately, no one showed up, so he got up to wash his face and ran into the captain. They're returning after finding the dungeon, she says, and she's going to see her husband and son. Then, she informs him, they are sending a 100-man team to this island. Since his inn can only accommodate around 4 people, Shiru becomes alarmed, but the captain assures him that they can set up tents and other things. When Shiru returned to prepare breakfast, the girls were giddy to eat his sausage and eggs. They even begged for more. Personally, if I were Shiru right now, I would return with another plate of sausages, substituting one with a small surprise before they go. They leave after Shiru gives the captain a memento for her family. Then Shiru got right back to work, clearing a route from the prison to the cave so that the survey teams could find it when they got there. He can now create a horse using his level 3 golem production. A solitary dinosaur swooped toward him 10 days later. Liane, he hopes, not Louise Chan. She came to deliver him a letter and a small present of her own. Our boy opens the box, and Liane must still be stuck in 2017, as they gave up using fidget spinners a long time ago. After 6 months, our boy has completely lost his mind. He currently has 5 Iwao, 2 horses, 2 dogs, and 6 Gokus, in addition to the goat he acquired for milk. When at last a ship arrives, our youngster hurriedly washes himself and approaches the troops to meet them. Seeing their armor, he is overcome with a sudden thought of sardines, but he brushes it off. After then, the message Liane delivered is revealed to be about Christia-sama. We were informed that Christia did not sink her boat or anything, and that she is involved in some Empire War activities that I find incomprehensible, as I am mostly here for the gals and the bouncing milk balls. Then another girl gets off the boat, and our boy figures she's the group leader, Lotta Gram-sama. Then he spots another attractive female, who is a little short and a little overweight, but he's cool with it because fats equal titties, and titties equal good, thus fats also equal nice. Then the tall female gestures at the short girl and introduces herself as Diane Lane, the adjutant, and Lotta Gram-sama, the commander. When Shiru greets her, she looks away and answers, yes. She appears really shy for a leader, Shiru notes. Gram-sama answers with a simple yes when Diane commends him on clearing the way for them, and notes that it appears they will have a quite easy job. Still, Shiru thinks she's kind of cute. When they get at the inn, Shiru offers them drinks and gives them a lovely towel to cool off. And Gram-sama answers with more than simply a yes this time. She declares it to be excellent. Then one of the soldiers offers that she use her powers to help him make ice, and our youngster enthusiastically accepts. Since the girls are primarily baddies, and he has been producing so many items around the island, our boy is feeling pleased. He is also now level 10. He then has the choice of either repair or weaponry manufacture. Shiru chose the repair option since, being a beta man who liked to be carried by mummies, he wouldn't know what to do with guns, tanks, and nuclear bombs. After saying that Shiru was really hot, the soldier added that it shouldn't be a problem with his consent because Diane had advised against touching him. Although Diane promised not to obstruct love, Gram-sama concurs that they would face consequences if it gets in the way of their responsibilities. Gram-sama had nothing to do with the love talk, but that's not because she doesn't like men or anything. Rather, it's because no nobleman would go out with her because she's short, and more significantly, because in front of a man, her mind would go blank. She then overhears her men discussing how they will take Shiru to do some manly tasks, but Gram-sama is not skilled at any of that. Her pastime is model sailing ships. She concludes that although she believes it to be a very sophisticated pastime, men find it to be quite unpopular, hence she will either wait for an arranged marriage or be single forever. Then Diane phones to see if she plans to spend the night at the inn as well, as everyone else has done. She declared she would be staying, having given it some thought, and concluded that perhaps something good would happen if she spent more time here with Shiru. When Shiru went to see the troops' camp, he saw both regular folks and those who, like me, after seeing 2D girls, just foamed at the mouth and drooled all over the place for him. Diane requests him to go check on Gram-sama when he informs everyone that the bath is ready, and he discovers she has disappeared. As he entered her room, she was fast asleep. Then she woke up, and to be honest, it appeared more like she had just reached her breaking point when she saw Shiru standing in front of her. Apologies made, he informs her about the bath. Gram-sama starts to stress out when he turns around after seeing a replica of a sailing ship, but he informs her that there is some amazing stuff right here when he turns back. Though he apologized, assuming she didn't want him to see it or anything, Gram-sama didn't move a single muscle on her face upon hearing this, and to be honest, Shiru's golems might have more emotions than her face right now. She then asks if he's interested. Yes, Gram-sama agreed, adding that although males are not allowed to board ships, Shiru had never been on a big sailing ship before, and that he would certainly get seasick. Then he walks her to the bath. You guys are going to miss out on a lot of gorgeous panels for the most of this section, because if I show them, YouTube will smite my head with lightning. When Shiru shows up at the bath to perform some business, he is displaying his calves. Diane advises him against doing such things since, after witnessing something so seductive, all the girls would not be able to resist. Now that the girls are yearning for his leg and acting like Victorian men seeing ankles for the first time, he swiftly conceals it. Naturally, he's still the kawaii boy that cosplays to want to be hugged by strong girls and gives them a quick wink. Now Gram-sama was so stimulated by this that she passed out. Asking Gram-sama if she needs another cup of coffee, Shiru enters to observe what the soldiers are doing. Since our boy's pants soaked, he's now covering his pee-pee with some fabric. If Gram-sama hadn't turned away, she would have surely climaxed again when she saw this.